So when you think about how the next world war might start, what comes to mind? A mushroom cloud, maybe? Armies crossing a border? Well, the truth is, it's probably going to start where no one is even looking, about 2,000 kilometers straight up in the cold, silent vacuum of space. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into, this critical and honestly often overlooked new battlefield.
No, really, I want you to think about this for a second. What if, in a single moment, that invisible network that runs our entire civilization was just switched off? Because that network is very, very real, and it's a lot more fragile than most of us realize.
Here's the deal. Our modern world is built on a foundation of satellites. I mean, every single time you use GPS on your phone, swipe your credit card, or even just check the weather, you're tapping into this massive orbital infrastructure. And this isn't just about convenience, right? This is the digital backbone of the entire global economy and our national security. And that, right there, makes it our single greatest vulnerability.
You know, the space race we all remember, the one about exploration, planting flags, scientific discovery. That's over. That's history. Today, there's a new race, and it's way more aggressive. Major world powers aren't looking at the stars with a sense of wonder anymore. They're seeing the ultimate military high ground. The goal has shifted from just having a presence up there to outright domination.
And look, this didn't just happen overnight. You can see the escalation pretty clearly. It all started peacefully, with Sputnik back in 1957. But then, fast forward to 2007, and you have China testing an anti-satellite missile, literally shattering one of its own satellites and creating this massive lethal cloud of space junk. India followed suit in 2019, and by 2020, Russia was testing weapons launched from other satellites in orbit. We have officially entered a dangerously crowded and contested new era.
So what are we actually talking about here? What are these weapons? Because this isn't science fiction, not anymore. We are talking about a very real, very sophisticated arsenal designed for a war that most of us down here on Earth will never even see.
Okay, first up, you've got the most obvious tool in the box, anti-satellite missiles, or ASATs. These are basically rockets you launch from the ground with one simple, brutal purpose: to fly up and physically smash into a satellite. They're effective, sure, but they are incredibly messy. I'm talking one hit creates a cloud of thousands of pieces of debris, each one a bullet that can threaten every other satellite in that orbit for decades to come.
Then things get a little more subtle, a little more sneaky with co-orbital weapons. People sometimes call these inspector satellites, or, less charitably, killer satellites. These things can launch quietly, drift up next to an enemy satellite, and then, well, they can do a lot. They can spy on it, grab it with a robotic arm, maybe just give it a little nudge, or a big one. It's an attack that gives the aggressor plausible deniability.
And then you've got the weapons that don't need to blow anything up. We call these soft kill methods. With powerful jammers on the ground, an enemy can just blast a satellite's receivers with noise, drowning out any real commands. Or they can go the cyber route, hack into it, blind its sensors, hijack its controls, or corrupt the data it's sending down. And we have absolutely seen this in action, with major disruptions to systems like Starlink during recent conflicts.
Just to give you a sense of the scale here, think about this. Right now, there are over 9,000 active satellites circling our planet. Every single one of them, from the commercial satellite bringing you this video to a critical military satellite that guides missiles, is now a potential target.
Which brings us to the really chilling question. Why? Why would anyone actually do this? Why is a first strike in space not just a possibility, but from a strategic point of view, actually tempting? Well, the logic is cold, it's calculated, and it is terrifyingly rational.
Just look at the strategic math here. A nuclear strike? That means millions dead, everyone knows instantly who did it, and you're guaranteed a catastrophic global response. A space attack, on the other hand? It causes zero immediate casualties on Earth, it can be incredibly hard to prove who was behind it, and yeah, orbital debris is a huge, huge problem, but it's not radioactive fallout. So, to a military planner, this makes a space attack a much more usable first strike option. You can blind your enemy before a war on the ground even really begins.
Okay, so what would day one of this kind of war actually look like? It probably wouldn't be some big dramatic declaration. More likely, it'll be a quiet, precise action in orbit that's triggered by something happening down here on the ground. Let's walk through 3 scenarios that are all too realistic.
First, let's imagine a really tense situation, something like a naval blockade around Taiwan.
To get a critical edge, one side decides to launch a preemptive soft-kill attack. They jam and hack the other's spy and communication satellites. All of a sudden, one of the most powerful militaries on the planet is deaf and blind. They can't see their targets, they can't navigate their ships, they can't talk to their troops. The question is, how do they respond?
Or, take an economic conflict. As the Arctic ice melts, these brand new, valuable shipping lanes are opening up. In a fight to control them, a nation could just start jamming GPS signals across the whole region, basically crippling any rival commercial and military ships trying to navigate. That kind of economic power play could spiral into a direct military confrontation really, really fast.
And finally, maybe the scariest one of all is the accident. Remember that debris from the 2007 Chinese missile test? It's still up there, all of it, zipping around at 17,000 miles per hour. So what happens when a piece of that junk slams into, say, a critical American missile warning satellite? Is it just a terrible accident, or was it a stealth attack? In a moment of high tension on Earth, misinterpreting that event could be the spark that lights the whole powder keg.
The fight for the 21st century has already moved to the ultimate high ground of low Earth orbit. And securing our world down here now means we have to secure our assets up there. Because the first shot of the next world war will not be a mushroom cloud on Earth. It'll be a silent, blinding flash in orbit that plunges the world below it into darkness. The question really isn't if this is going to happen anymore. It's what are we all going to do when it does?